Where else are you going to find a 27-foot sailboat that's sturdy enough to wield dinghy davits, big enough to go to the Caribbean, slow enough to do it all safely, and cheap enough that you could do it all for the price of a used F-150? Not nowhere else, but let me tell you, not many places. Where do you see this boat? Let me tell you something strange. A guy buys a 27-foot sailboat. Not famous, not fast, not particularly good-looking sailboat, and certainly not the kind of boat you see in glossy magazine spreads with a couple drinking wine at sunset, pretending they've never argued about docking. And then he sails that boat to the Bahamas. No drama, no heroic music, no Instagram captions about finding himself. He just gets up and goes. And the boat he picked, it just does it. Which raises an uncomfortable question for I think all of us. If a slow, chunky, slightly awkward 27-footer can make the trip without complaining, what exactly are we all doing chasing bigger, faster, more expensive boats? This is the Watkins 27, and it might be one of the most honest sailboats I've ever seen. Now, to understand this boat, you have to rewind back to the 70s in Florida, the golden age of polyester, disco, and suddenly, sailboats. Fuel prices were spiking, people were panicking, and someone somewhere said, hey, what if we just use the wind instead? And out of that slightly chaotic moment comes the fiberglass sailboat revolution, and in it, Watkins yachts. They weren't trying to build the best boats in the world. They weren't chasing racing trophies or design awards. They were trying to build something far more dangerous, an affordable cruising boat for normal people. And for a brief moment, it worked. They grew very quickly. Dealers across the country selling these boats, production ramping up, boats rolling out of Florida like hotcakes at a dinner that may or may not pass inspection. And right in the middle of that surge, they built the Watkins 27. Built from 1977 to 1984, with roughly 500 of them produced, this was their big swing at stardom. Their attempt to plant a flag right next to boats like the Catalina 27 and say, yeah, we can do that too. And on paper, they absolutely could. It's 27 feet long, which is exactly what it says on the tin. But then you look at the beam, 10 feet. That's pretty wide. That's not sleek performance cruiser slicing through the waves. That's, I brought a couch and a coffee table and a houseplant wide for the era of this boat. You gotta remember all the Albergs were way skinnier. And the beam sort of changed everything because suddenly inside a 27-foot boat, you actually had space. Real space. Not the kind where you have to inhale to walk past somebody. The kind where you start thinking, hang on, I could actually sleep in this boat. I might be able to live on this thing. And then people did. Underneath, you're looking at 7,500 pounds of displacement, with roughly 3,500 pounds of that being ballast. That's ballast around 46%, which is another way of saying this boat is not going anywhere in a hurry, but it's also not going anywhere that you didn't intend it to. It's stable and predictable and really forgiving. If this boat were a person, it would be the friend who shows up on time, brings extra snacks, and never once suggests you go skydiving. Keel options included the shoal draft fin, which most boats got. Some had centerboard variants, and there's still a few floating around out there, and they all had a skeg-hung rudder off the back. Rig-wise, it's a masthead sloop. Simple, familiar, no surprises. Sail area displacement sits around 15, which for those of you keeping score means one thing. It's not a fast boat. Let's not dance around that fact. This boat does not wake up in the morning thinking, today I'm gonna dominate. It wakes up thinking, let's have a nice steady day and maybe arrive before dinner, no worse for wear. Hull speed is 6.5 knots if you can get that out of it, and you'll probably see something south of that most of the time unless the conditions are just right. But here's the twist. People who own these boats don't seem to care that they're not fast, and they also don't seem to get rid of them very often. Let's talk about something that will either make you smile immediately or make you question everything. This 27-foot sailboat often comes with wheel steering. A wheel on a 27-footer. This particular one is a tiller, but you could get a wheel, which is like putting a captain's chair and cup holders on a bicycle. Is it necessary? No. Is it kind of brilliant? Yes. because it makes the boat feel bigger than it is, more substantial, more yacht-like. Even if deep down you know you could probably steer it with 2 fingers in a sandwich. Down below, this is where the Watkins 27 starts to punch above its weight a little bit. That 10-foot beam pays dividends. You've got a full V berth up front, a quarter berth, and a convertible dinette, an enclosed head, and a kind of proper galley. And headroom that, for many people, means you're not spending your entire life slightly hunched over like you're apologizing to the ceiling. For a 27-footer, this boat is impressive. It's not luxurious, it's not modern, it's definitely leaning heavily into that 1970s teak aesthetic. But it's functional, and it's livable, and it's honest. And that word keeps coming up about this boat, honest, in all the reviews and owners forums. My friend Brian actually has this boat, and he's been sailing it from South Carolina up and down the coast for more than 20 years. He's never needed anything else. His has full davits to haul his dinghy around, which is balanced out by the ground tackle that he keeps up at the front. The interior is plenty big enough for him, and he's never wanted for anything else. Now let's talk about what people actually say after owning one of these things, because brochures can lie and owners don't. The general consensus is that it's a good boat. Not a great boat, not a terrible boat, just a good sailboat. She's stable in rough conditions, comfortable for her size, easy to handle, especially for newer sailors. In fact, it's slow and steady enough that first-time sailors would find it very easy to learn on. It's the kind of boat that will teach you everything you need to know about sailing fairly quickly and fairly safely. And if you don't get bored of the speed, you could keep it forever because it'll do just about everything you could possibly need it to do. But then there are the quirks. The steering, for example, has been described as feeling like a lawn tractor, which is not the kind of phrase that makes you leap out of bed and shout, "Yes, this is the sailing experience I've been dreaming of." But here's the thing, a lawn tractor works. It's not exciting, it's not precise, but it gets the job done every single time without complaint. And that, in a weird way, is exactly what this boat is. Of course, it's not perfect. The deck is cored, and after all these years, means if water gets in, you're no longer walking on a deck, you're walking on a soggy life decision. So moisture checks matter a lot. Performance is, as we've established, not going to impress your racing friends. And the company who built this thing itself is actually gone, which means there's no factory support, no parts hotline, no friendly representative answering the phone and saying, "Have you tried turning it on and off again?" You're on your own with this boat, or more accurately, you're relying on owners groups and forums and the collective wisdom of people who've already made the same mistakes you're about to. And then we get to price. This is where this boat gets really dangerous. You can find these for as little as $4,000 or $5,000. My friend Brian got his for $3,500. Let me repeat that. $4,000. That's less than some people spend on a used jet ski. And unlike a jet ski, this has a bed and a kitchen and a bathroom and the ability to leave the country. Plus, it's old enough to order a scotch. Which leads us to a very dangerous line of thinking. Do I actually need more boat than this? There are so many cruising and racing sailboats floating around in the Caribbean at 8 knots. So many Beneteau 40-somethings anchored in every other safe harbor from Florida to Trinidad. You could save up $100 grand and do the same thing everyone else is doing. Or you could spend $4,000 on something like this that will do the job just fine. You'll spend another $20 getting her outfitted, I'm sure, but then you're done. She'll carry everything you need and never ask you for anything, and maybe that's a better deal than some sugar scoop twin helm white plastic something or other. Maybe this is just better. What do you think? Have you been on a Watkins? Would you take a 27-foot cruising if it meant you could leave sooner? Let's talk about it in the comments. I can't wait to hear from you. And if you're interested in this boat, you may also love the article we have on the Irwin Citation 38, a used boat review that's definitely worth a read if you like these older gems. I'll leave a link in the description for you. Don't forget to hit thumbs up on this video if you like sailboat videos. It really helps us out, but also it lets YouTube know that you like stuff like this, so it'll show you more of it. How cool is that? And hit subscribe so I can see you again next time.